Welcome to Mystic Realms Recap. Links are in the description below. Please show some love of the author and me. On to the show. Starships are also fighting back frantically. In the starry sky, the two interstellar battleships were constantly colliding. Fierce fighting continued, and many battleships of the interstellar civilization were attacked by the main guns of the Hyperion, and many battleships were sunk. The Hyperion has such a strong defense. Haha, so cool. It was the first time I saw that it was possible to win such a beautiful victory under such circumstances. Yes, I have never encountered such an attack before, it is too powerful. The Hyperion is so awesome. There must be many treasures in the Hyperion, and we have to snatch them. Yes, the main gun of the Hyperion is really powerful. We might as well give it a try and see how powerful the Hyperion's defense is. These audiences also talked about it one after another, they also felt very exciting and wanted to try it. Shoot me! Su-Yen suddenly shouted. Inside the hull of the Hyperion, a large number of energy cannons suddenly appeared. The Hyperion's shield immediately opened. Inside the Hyperion, a large number of beams suddenly shot out, all of which flew towards the interstellar civilization's interstellar battleship. Ah, not good. Help! My shield is broken. This is awesome. Those in the audience were very surprised when they saw that their interstellar battleship was attacked by those beams, and each and everyone had a horrified expression on their faces. They also did not expect that the protective cover of the Hyperion would be so powerful. But the Hyperion didn't care what was going on with the spaceships, and continued to fire ahead. These interstellar battleships were attacked by those beams, and they all opened their shields one after another, but the shields of these interstellar battleships were not too strong. Under the attack of the Hyperion, they still suffered heavy losses. Under the attack of the Hyperion, these spaceships were severely injured. The Hyperion also took the opportunity to escape the pursuit of these interstellar civilization warships. The interstellar battleship is also constantly launching stars one by one, chasing after the Hyperion. The Hyperion was flying very fast in the starry sky. Although the stars kept approaching the Hyperion kept dodging, preventing these stars from approaching itself. The Hyperion was very fast, and after a while, it left this starry sky and arrived at an area that no interstellar battleship could find. In front of the Hyperion is a huge black hole. This black hole is swallowing everything into the black hole, and even those stars are swallowed and absorbed by the black hole. Inside the Hyperion, it became quiet, and no one dared to look at the battleships of the interstellar civilization. Su-Yen controlled the Hyperion and flew towards the black hole. The figure of the Hyperion disappeared, and no one knew where they were going. In the battleships of the interstellar civilization, there were also bursts of size. Su-Yen also controlled the Hyperion and entered the black hole. After the Hyperion entered the black hole, the speed of the black hole became faster and faster, and soon, the Hyperion disappeared into the black hole. And on the other side, Su-Yen also saw a huge universe, a huge planet, very conspicuous in this universe. Huge planets are made up of hundreds of stars. Su-Yen was also very surprised when she saw this scene. I didn't expect to encounter a huge planet in such a place. And the huge planet seems to be more than one, there should be dozens. What is this place? This place is too big. These are not Su-Yen's concerns. Now what Su-Yen wants to know is, where exactly is he now? What is the situation in this universe? Su-Yen controls the Hyperion, and in this huge planet, he begins to find his own goal. What's the matter? How can there be such a large galaxy? Su-Yen controls the Hyperion in this planet, constantly searching. In the entire interstellar, there are countless such galaxies, and in these galaxies, there are large and small planets, but these planets are also one by one, which looks very strange. Su-Yen controlled the Hyperion, and kept searching for it. He didn't know how long it took, and the Hyperion finally saw a relatively large galaxy. The volume of this galaxy is very large. It is many times larger than the galaxy Su Yan has seen before, and it looks like a huge planet. Could it be that this is a huge planet? Su Yan also felt very puzzled. In the entire Milky Way, such planets are really too few, and he has never seen such a large planet before. The speed of the Hyperion also slowly decreased. This huge galaxy is not very rare in the Milky Way, but this huge galaxy is very rare. Point 0. Su Yan observed on the Hyperion for a while and found that the galaxies here are somewhat different from those outside. The galaxy here, not like other galaxies, has very large nebulae. All of this is formed by the accumulation of a large number of meteorites. Where is this place? Why are there so many meteorites? Su Yan also felt very surprised. How could there be so many meteorites in such a place? The meteorites here should be some high-grade meteorites, and they should all be precious items in the galaxy. Su Yan controlled the Hyperion and kept flying forward. He also wanted to figure out what was going on in this huge galaxy. Soon, the Hyperion flew into a huge group of meteorites. The Hyperion flew here and found the environment here very special. Because these planets are all made of black rocks, and the rocks are covered with black moss, the moss is also plentiful and looks disgusting and ugly. These rocks are like they were carved out of rocks. On these rocks, there are many raised edges and corners. If I go, there will be such a disgusting thing. I don't know if there is life here. Will there be any monsters on this planet? Su Yan couldn't help but complained, it's really disgusting that such a thing would appear on this planet. The Hyperion is in this planet, constantly flying. Su Yan wants to figure out what's going on here. Also looking for a target. When the Hyperion flew over the planet, the Hyperion also felt a strong fluctuation. Huh? How can there be such a strong fluctuation? Su Yan also felt a bit of surprise. Su Yan drove the Hyperion to the place where the fluctuations came, and checked it out carefully. Su Yan saw that the surface of this planet was full of dense spikes, which looked a little terrifying. It turned out to be such a place. It looks really bad. Su Yan drove the Hyperion around constantly in the air, not daring to move forward rashly. The Hyperion slowed down a lot. The danger 170 on this planet is still very large, and if it is attacked, it will be bad. Su Yan has been flying the Hyperion for a long, long time. I don't know how far it has flown. He has flown over this huge planet, but he has not yet found the main road and nodes on this huge planet. Is there no road on this huge planet, or there is a passage on this planet, but why can't I find the trace of the passage? Su Yan doesn't know why this huge planet. He has no way to find the location of the passage. Could it be that this huge planet is not the main road of this galaxy? Su Yan also had such doubts. He controlled the Hyperion and continued to fly. After the Hyperion flew for a long time, he also found that he seemed to have flown into a very wide space. No, if you fly further, you will get lost, and I don't know where this is. Su Yan felt very strange, and also felt a little wrong. The speed of the Hyperion is already very slow. If it continues to fly like this, it is estimated that he will fly out of this planet. This planet is really weird. The Hyperion slowed down. Su Yan also took control of the Hyperion and stopped moving forward. The Hyperion stopped flying and did not leave the area. Su Yan also didn't know what was there on this huge planet that was worth his stay in this place. Su Yan also wanted to find a hidden place to hide and avoid some trouble, and he didn't want to get into any trouble. Su Yan drove the Hyperion to a stop in the center of this area, and had no intention of leaving. There are also many giant battleships here. On these giant battleships, there are some people that Su Yan knows. For example, the giant robot from before. There are those two people, as well as some other robots. Their bodies are very huge. They are not residents of this planet, Su Yan guessed. They should be people from other planets. So many people gathered together, what are they doing? I'll go check it out first. Su Yan left immediately and saw the huge planet. This planet looks like a star, very huge. Looking at it, I felt a sense of shock. It looks like a sun. This is the first time Su Yan has seen such a large sun. Su Yan also looked around but didn't find anything special. Strange, there is nothing on this planet. What's going on? Su Yan felt puzzled and a little baffled. There is nothing on this planet, and no life. Is it because, on this planet, there is something protecting it? Su Yan also had such doubts. Is there any special place on this planet that can protect it? Anyway, there must be some kind of special existence on the planet, right? Su Yan also felt that he had to go in and have a look, and also wanted to understand why this place had such a powerful force that it could cover the entire planet, and even devour the entire planet. I'm going to go in and see what the reason is. Su Yan also didn't know what secrets there was on this huge planet. He wanted to go in and find out what was going on. This huge planet, how many huge planets are there, is the main road of these planets, the nodes of these planets, and the central location of these planets? There is no way for Su Yan to judge. After all, this planet is too huge for him to judge. Su Yan drove the Hyperion slowly towards the front. The speed was getting slower and slower, and Su Yan finally got out of here without knowing how long he flew. Su Yan looked around and saw that the planet was still desolate and dark, and there were no people at all. And now, he was standing on a flat spot. It seems that this is the galaxy space, that is to say, this place is the center of the planet. Everything on this planet is protected by this planet. Su Yan also sighed. The Hyperion had been staying here for a long time, and Su Yan felt a little helpless after seeing the scene on this planet. There are no creatures here at all, not even a Zerg. The Hyperion stayed here for a long time without encountering anything. Nothing was found either. The people on the Hyperion were also very puzzled. What the hell is going on this planet? There is no breath of life at all. Su Yan looked at the battleships and was speechless. The battleships on these battleships are very huge, and their size is probably a giant aircraft carrier. They are all very curious, why is there no 2.6 life in this place? These battleships are also very large. Hundreds of space battleships of various types, the speed of these battleships have reached the limit, and there are some brains on these space battleships. These intellectual brains are used to analyze all the data on this planet. The brains of these battleships can also find some useful information on this planet. Been here for a long time. For such a long time, he did not gain anything at all. This made Su Yan very disappointed. Could it be that there is really nothing on this planet? Why is there nothing on this planet? I also feel that it is very strange. Su Yan is also very incomprehensible. What the hell is this place? Su Yan felt that he should go and see what was on this planet. He also didn't know whether the passage of time on this planet was correct, but he knew that they had not found any valuable information on the Hyperion during this time. Su Yan didn't know how long he stayed on the Hyperion. Anyway, he was feeling very tired now. The danger on this planet made him very afraid, so he didn't dare to try it casually. We should go too. Su Yan said it was time for the Hyperion to return. Su Yan was also preparing to leave the planet in the Hyperion. Immediately, there was a loud bang in the distance. Su Yan's face changed suddenly. Damn, is something bad going to happen again? Is there any danger this time? No, I must leave this planet quickly. What should I do if there is something dangerous about Chapter 31? Am I just stuck on this planet? In Su Yan's heart, he was very worried, and he didn't know what would happen next. He didn't know what kind of danger he would encounter next. He didn't even know if he could hold on to it. Su Yan is also very anxious, but he knows that no matter what he does now, it will be in vain. Now he can only try his best to escape, try not to face any danger. Su Yan didn't care whether he could fly outside the galaxy or not, and drove the Hyperion toward the outside of the galaxy. Others also exclaimed in surprise. What's going on? How did it suddenly soar away from the Hyperion? Is there an accident here? Could it be that there is a catastrophe on this planet? We have been here for too long. Has something happened on this planet? The people on this planet have disappeared, what the hell is going on? They were all surprised. Look, what is that? Suddenly, in the crowd, a person found anomalies, pointed to the sky outside the galaxy, and shouted loudly. Well, look what that is. Seems to be a battleship. How are the battleships there? Where did that battleship come from? They seem to be heading towards the planet over there, and we're going to follow them. Seeing that the battleship that Su Yan was riding on left, they immediately accelerated to catch up. They wanted to catch up and see what was going on. There were people on that battleship, and they seemed to have spotted us. Don't panic, they didn't find us, they just wanted to run away. Let's keep up with them too. Okay. They also accelerated to catch up with the battleship. Su Yan drives the Hyperion, flying in the air. During the flight, Su Yan saw many people sitting on the battleships in front of him. These people are all battleships of the Interstellar Federation, and the number of these battleships is relatively large. Su Yan was also in the air, flying in the direction these people were flying. However, those people also seemed to have spotted Su Yan and were chasing him in the air, and their speed was very fast. What are you doing? Why are you chasing us? Su Yan shouted loudly. However, the other party did not pay attention to his clamor, they were still following them closely, and they were also accelerating, as if they wanted to intercept them. Are we really being discovered? There was a wry smile on Su Yan's face. He didn't expect that he would be found. In any case, escape from here first, and then, let's plan slowly. Su Yan thought to himself. These people also seem to have discovered their presence. Their flight speed gradually became faster. Su Yan also saw that these battleships were getting closer and closer, and he was also nervous in his heart. Seeing this situation, Su Yan constantly adjusted her posture to keep her balance and lighten her center of gravity. I knew it would be like this, Su Yan secretly said in his heart that he knew that the other party must have found him. But he had no choice but to try his best to avoid being caught by the other party. At this moment, in the air in front of them, a lot of dark objects suddenly appeared. After these objects appeared, they collided with Su Yan and the others. Su Yan saw the situation and knew that he was surrounded. These battleships seemed to be a gang. This gang, I don't know why, actually surrounded the Hyperion. They seem to be coming for Su Yan, and they are very fast. Damn, what the hell is this gang trying to do? Su Yan thought to himself. But Su Yan didn't have time to think about these issues. These gangs are obviously aimed at him, and if he doesn't want to escape, he will be entangled by these gangs. At that time, there may not even be a chance to escape. Su Yan must escape as soon as possible to get rid of the pursuit of these gangs. Su Yan took control of his Hyperion and rammed into the gang. Boom! Su Yan, who was driving the Hyperion, also collided with the gang. The Hyperion has a very strong ramming capability. The two battleships were knocked off by Su Yan's Hyperion. 170, they did not give up either, and they continued to attack the Hyperion that Su Yan was driving. Seeing this situation, Su Yan was helpless, and could only continue to drive the Hyperion, constantly ramming these battleships. Su Yan drove the Hyperion to keep hitting these battleships, constantly using energy cannons, and constantly strafing those battleships. Whoosh! Su Yan shot a missile on the shell of a battleship, and the missile penetrated the outer armor of the battleship directly. The power of the missile is very tyrannical, and those people on the battleship did not dare to be careless, and hurriedly dodged. They did not escape either, and several of the battleships were hit by Su Yan's pilot, the Hyperion. The battleship exploded at this moment. Do not. Those people were stunned when they saw that their battleship was destroyed. They didn't expect that Su Yan was so cruel. Their battleship was destroyed by Su Yan. They also did not expect that Su Yan would dare to attack their battleship, which they did not expect. Kill that kid. Kill that kid. On the battleship, a roar sounded, obviously exasperated. The people on the battleship looked at the destroyed battleship and were extremely angry in their hearts. We must find that kid and smash that kid into tens of thousands of pieces to vent his hatred. Su Yan drove the Hyperion and continued to shuttle among the stars. He is also constantly looking for opportunities to escape the siege of these battleships. After driving the Hyperion through the star field for a while, he finally found an escape route. This escape route is very hidden. It is in a galaxy, where the star field is very chaotic. Their battleship also entered the star field at this time. In that star field, their sailing speed has also decreased a lot. The people in the battleship did not dare to stay in that star field, because they know that after they enter the galaxy now, their speed will also be affected. Their battleships also need to be supplemented with various energy and resources. Nor can they waste all their energy at this time. After the Hyperion entered the galaxy, it followed the battleships and kept moving in the other direction. When they entered this galaxy, they wanted to escape, not stay. After they entered this galaxy, they also encountered trouble. Although the battleship can fly in this galaxy, it is not as fast as the fighter that Su Yan drives. The speed of their flight in the galaxy is also much slower. They are still faster than Su Yan, not long after. Su Yan was caught up by them, and their fighter jets also attacked Su Yan. Su Yan controlled the Hyperion and rammed towards the battleships. This time, those battleships were hit by Su Yan, and the outer armor of the battleships was severely damaged by the impact. This scene made the people of these battleships feel very shocked. They never thought that Su Yan could do such a thing. Their battleship outer armor is also very strong in defense. Being hit by Su Yan like this, it was still damaged. Su Yan drove the Hyperion and continued to ram the battleships. The defense of the battleship is not weak either. Their battleships are also constantly being repaired. The impact of the Hyperion, their battleship, only suffered a little damage. Damn it! This kid is so powerful that none of us have ever encountered it before. Where did he get his battleship from? Among these battleships, after seeing Su Yan's Hyperion, some people couldn't help but talk about it. They also know that those who can get the help of those people must be very great people, and they do not dare to provoke them. Whoosh! After hitting those battleships, the Hyperion also flew into the distance. Chase! No matter how much you pay, you will get that person back. At this time, the men of these battleships began to order their men to hunt down Su Yan again. After Su Yan heard the voice behind, her face became much ugly. The battleships chased after him again. Their battleship had also approached the Hyperion. Su Yan also knew that he couldn't keep fleeing, he had to fight to the death with these battleships. Whoosh! The Hyperion suddenly accelerated and slammed into the front. These battleships also began to speed up their pursuit. Their speed is also constantly increasing. Su Yan drove the Hyperion and continued to pursue the battleships. They are much slower. They were driving battleships and were chasing them non-stop. The speed of the Hyperion was too slow in the eyes of those inside the battleship. Even if they catch up, they can easily catch Su Yan. Su Yan piloted the Hyperion, flying non-stop among those battleships. He is also constantly looking for a suitable breakthrough, and he must knock the Hyperion away. His eyes were fixed in one direction. The Hyperion accelerated sharply. The Hyperion, disregarding the attacks of those battleships, charged directly in that direction. The battleship also hit directly in that direction. That direction is exactly the direction Su Yan hit just now. The battleship also kept shaking. The outer armor of the battleship was also shattered by the impact of the Hyperion. The Hyperion did not suffer any damage. The Hyperion also continued to fly in that direction. At this time, the Hyperion also rammed in their direction. The outer armor of their battleships has also been completely shattered. The Hyperion was so fast that they couldn't dodge at all. The battleships also kept firing rockets, but their rockets could not hit the Hyperion at all. The Hyperion was constantly ramming the battleship. At this time, the people on the battleship also began to panic. They didn't expect that Su Yan was so powerful. Their battleships simply couldn't catch up with him. It is also impossible to resist the attack of the Hyperion. The Hyperion is very fast, and there is no loss at this moment. I surrender. I admit defeat. Stop attacking. I admit defeat. At this time, they also began to give up. Their battleships couldn't catch up with the Hyperion, and they had to admit defeat. The Hyperion stopped attacking. Their battleship trembled and looked very unstable. In the eyes of the personnel inside their battleships are just ordinary. Now their battleship has been knocked to pieces. You are really a bunch of garbage. Su Yan's words came from the Hyperion, and the corner of his mouth also showed a smile. Humph, we were just attacked by you. If it was a formal confrontation, how could you be our opponent? The captain of the battleship said, moreover, our battleships are no worse than yours, and our protection system is much stronger than yours. Su Yan also didn't want to continue arguing with the captain of the battleship. Right now, the most important thing for him is to refit the Hyperion as soon as possible. He had already used his own precision instruments to figure out the overall design of the shell of the Hyperion, and then let people start to modify it. This modification also needs to consume a lot of his energy, but he is not afraid of these. The Hyperion, I have now converted you into a super battleship, but I would like to see what power this super battleship has. Su Yan is also very much looking forward to this fight. After all, the Hyperion had not fought for a long time. Now, he also hopes to try it out. His identity is still too low-key. Su Yan controlled the Hyperion and rammed straight ahead. The direction he chose this time was exactly the direction he hit. There is also a battleship there. The speed of this battleship is obviously not as fast as his battleship. His speed is not slow, and soon, he hit the battleship. The battleship was also hit with several large holes. He didn't stop at all, and slammed into the other direction. The battleship was also hit with several large holes. This big hole will soon widen. In the end, the battleship was also directly rammed. After the battleship was destroyed, Su Yan controlled the Hyperion and continued to ram in the remaining direction. At this time, the other battleships had also noticed the Hyperion, and their faces were also very ugly. The Hyperion was so terrifying, he actually destroyed the battleship directly. Yes, he was so powerful that he crashed the battleship in one fell swoop. No, we have to stop 170 him. We have to contact headquarters and ask for support. At this time, the captains of these battleships immediately contacted their superiors, and then they began to report the situation to their superiors. The superiors above these battleships immediately sent a few fighter jets to this place and flew in their direction. Their fighter jets also flew very fast. A few minutes later, these fighter jets came to the area where they were. Boom! Boom! These fighter jets also fired one after another, aiming at the Hyperion. The attacks of these fighter jets also landed on the Hyperion, but the Hyperion was still unscathed and counterattacked them. The Hyperion also attacked these fighters, and these planes could only escape. The Hyperion was too fast for them to catch up. These fighter jets were flying over the Hyperion. They also found that the Hyperion, like a swimming fish, shuttled fast in the air, and their attack could not hit the Hyperion. The speed of the Hyperion is too fast, and it is not easy for these fighters to hit him. No, they're so fast that we can't catch up. Damn, we're fast, but he's faster. At this time, the people on these planes were also a little desperate. They also knew that if they continued to fight against the Hyperion, the final result would definitely be their side. These battleships could only retreat, but the Hyperion followed closely, which made them tremble. The Hyperion, don't deceive people too much. One of the captains of the battleship said angrily. The Hyperion ignored them and continued to charge in their direction. The captains of these battleships can only dodge once again. The Hyperion was still constantly attacking them. Not long after, these battleships also rout one after another, and the Hyperion also charged towards this area. Soon, they rushed into other areas, smashing their battleships into pieces. The Hyperion's attack power was too strong, and they didn't have any resistance. The speed of the Hyperion was very fast. These battleships were quickly smashed by the Hyperion. The Hyperion also directly entered the area and continued to charge in that direction. Soon, these battleships were all smashed by the Hyperion, and the Hyperion also drew a beautiful arc in the air and flew away into the distance. There are also many battleships in that area. The Hyperion rammed these battleships again. The Hyperion continued to fly in the sky. There was also a constant roar from that area, and soon, it turned into a big fireball. At this time, there were also many battleships that landed from the sky, and then from these flames, several fighter jets rushed out. These fighter jets are also extremely fast fighter jets, and these fighter jets are all circling in the air. The speed of these planes is also very fast, and they came to the side of the Hyperion in a short while, and they all swooped down directly from the high altitude. This Hyperion dares to intrude into our area, it is really boring. A pilot said angrily. Yes, this Hyperion can't be spared, he dares to crash our battleships, it's really courting death. That's right, we have to kill the Hyperion and tell this to the top. In this area, there are also many battleships patrolling around this area. These battleships in the vicinity of this area also found the Hyperion, and then they all flew to the side of the Hyperion, and they all wanted to attack the Hyperion. The Hyperion also began to attack. He ignored these battleships and launched a frantic attack directly at them. Bang bang bang. A loud bang echoed in the air, and missiles exploded in the air. The defense of the Hyperion is very strong, and ordinary missiles do not pose much threat to him. However, it is impossible for them to give up the Hyperion like this. After all, the weapons on the Hyperion are not simple. These weapons, and many more. If they are not dealt with in time, these weapons will be difficult to resist. Another explosion also exploded directly. This explosion also directly shattered the protective cover of the Hyperion. After the protective cover on the Hyperion was broken, the Hyperion continued to fly forward. It is not so easy for them to catch up with the Hyperion. The speed of the Hyperion was not slow. Soon, the Hyperion left them and flew away in another direction. They can only continue to catch up behind. The speed of the Hyperion is very fast, and the speed of these battleships is not very good, so it is more difficult for them to catch up with the Hyperion. None of their missiles could hit the Hyperion. If you're enjoying my content, please consider donating a coffee. Or checking out my shirts on TeePublic. They couldn't help but wonder what kind of weapons were loaded on the Hyperion. The Hyperion was very fast and quickly disappeared from the sight of these battleships. The captains of these battleships were very angry, and they did not expect that the Hyperion would be so fierce. This Hyperion is so powerful, it seems that we have to make a new plan before we can deal with him. At this time, on another battleship, a pilot couldn't help but say, "That's right, but it's probably not that easy to deal with him. We also need to investigate their strength, before we can plan the next step." The captain of the battleship nodded. "Then let's continue the pursuit, this time we must capture the Hyperion and let him hand it over." The captain of the battleship also continued. The Hyperion was flying fast in the air, turning constantly in the air. Although they were able to catch up with the Hyperion soon, it was not so easy for them to catch the Hyperion. Flying in this kind of air can also easily make people feel dizzy. If it weren't for the fact that they were flying in the air, it is estimated that the people on these battleships would have vomited long ago. Even if the Hyperion was flying in the air, it didn't affect its speed in the slightest. Although the Hyperion was fast, they were still a little far from those battleships. They can only keep getting close, and then use missiles to attack the Hyperion. On the Hyperion, there is a very strong radar system, and there is no way to attack him with missile attacks. The Hyperion was in the air for a long time. They too had been chasing the Hyperion. At this moment, the Hyperion has come to the periphery of a star field. They also finally saw the Hyperion. And the weapons on the Hyperion have also begun to be fired. These weapons are not ordinary weapons, they are capable of producing powerful damage to the battleship, and even destroy the protective cover on the battleship. They also know how powerful these weapons are. Under the attack of these missiles they fired. Those missiles, even if they can hit their battleship shields, are useless, and their battleships can still fly. This made them have no choice but to continue to attack the Hyperion. But even so, the defense of the Hyperion is also very strong. Their attacks are also very minor injuries, and they are useless at all. There is no way to go on like this. At this time a pilot couldn't help frowning. He looked at the battleships in front of him, and he was also secretly complaining. The attack of their battleships did not cause any serious damage to the Hyperion. The shield of the Hyperion can also resist their attacks. Their attack would not have much effect on the Hyperion, and if it went on like this, it would be impossible to take the Hyperion. The Hyperion was flying very fast, and they were constantly opening the gap between them. In the air, the Hyperion was the fastest, and they had no way to catch up with the Hyperion, and could only watch the Hyperion escape. What to do? Is there really no way? Alas, now we can only wait for reinforcements from the headquarters to send reinforcements, hoping that the reinforcements sent from the headquarters can stop the flight of the Hyperion. This person on the Hyperion, with such a powerful strength, is definitely not easy to mess with. They must be forces on some planet. If it is not from our planetary federation, it should be the forces of other interstellar civilizations. We should not provoke it. Well, now we can only wait for the rescue from the headquarters. I hope they can arrive earlier. They were all talking and waiting anxiously, hoping to get the news sooner. The Hyperion was constantly flying in the air, and after flying for hundreds of light years, it was far away from the sight of those battleships. But their eyesight has not subsided, and they can also see the existence of those battleships. It can't go on like this. We can't catch up with them at all. The captain of the battleship also frowned. What's going on here? There's no way we can intercept the Hyperion. We're a lot slower than them, they're fast, and they're flying ahead, so even if we try to catch up with them, we'll be fine. Difficult, we can't catch up with them at all. We can't just sit still, or we'll fire some missiles and knock them down to minimize our losses. Well, let's launch missiles. If we can knock down the Hyperion, that's fine, but it's easier said than done to knock down the Hyperion. 0. Yes, this battleship of the Hyperion can withstand the attack of 5-level super energy shells. It is impossible for us to destroy them. We can only do this. Let's launch some missiles to test and test. Yes, give it a try. The captains of those battleships also began to discuss, and they were all ready to launch missiles. Their missiles are also very advanced, and can cause a very strong impact on battleships or combat ships in the air. The defensive cover of the Hyperion was also shaken by these missiles, and it was also constantly shaking. But also quite sturdy. Although the power of those missiles is powerful, there is no way to cause too much damage to the Hyperion. After all, the defense cover of the Hyperion is not as fragile as the defense cover of other warships. These missiles have been in the air for a long time, but the Hyperion is still able to maintain the best speed. This is how to do. Yes, what should we do? If it goes on like this, I am afraid that the Hyperion will not be shot down by us at all. We can't go on like this, we have to change our strategy. The captains of those battleships were also a little worried. In the current situation, they are all helpless and don't know what to do. They were also a little anxious. At this moment, there was a burst of sirens from inside the battleship. Report, there is an abnormal situation ahead. What? An unusual situation? How could this be? Report, there is a huge fog ahead, we can't tell what kind of situation is ahead. Damn it. Who the hell did this? Our battleships were flying without any problems at all. Why is there a fog all of a sudden? Report, I also can't be sure what happened in that place. No matter, we must return immediately, otherwise, we may be in danger. The captain of the battleship was a little anxious, and he did not dare to delay time in the air, and he wanted to return immediately. The battleships also adjusted their course and prepared to evacuate this planet. However, they flew in the air for a long time, and 170 did not find a way to leave the planet. In this vast universe, there is no sign of any planet at all, and there is no way to know the route to that place. The speed of those battleships is very slow. In this vast universe, it is impossible to fly fast. In this galaxy, there are many space storms, and they have no way to resist those space storms, and in those space storms, there are also many dangers, and if they encounter a little bit, they may suffer heavy losses. When they fly in the air, they have to beware of the creatures on those planets, and those creatures are also very powerful. They are also very slow. We can't go on like this, we can't fly out at all. Our sailing speed is too slow, and there is no way to get out. If we go on like this, we will die here sooner or later. We should leave this planet quickly and return to those star fields. As long as we return to those star fields, there will be a lot of replenishment energy. They were all arguing there, and they were discussing how they wanted to leave this planet. Our sailing speed is indeed too slow. I think we should directly lower the altitude. Lower altitude? Wouldn't that be hitting those meteorites? So what? Although meteorites won't hurt us, we can't control our flight. If we continue to fly like this, we will hit the meteorite sooner or later. No matter what, let's lower the altitude of the flight. $7. The captains also began to adjust their flying heights, and they all lowered their speed to the lowest altitude. The battleships also collided with those meteorites, smashing them into pieces at once, and forming black holes one by one. These black holes devour those battleships. In this black hole, the battleship was unable to struggle to escape, and was absorbed by those black holes. In the end, all of them were sucked into powder, and even the scum was not left behind. The battleship also turned into a pile of scrap iron and fell from the air. What? What's going on? How did these meteorites suddenly disappear? Are those meteorites channels? The crew members were also a little panicked, and their faces became pale. Don't be afraid, it's just a passage, we can fly out of this galaxy now. We quickly returned to those star fields. Where is our territory? After reaching those star fields, we can get supply energy. The captain also calmed down, with a smile on his face. Well, let's go back now. Yes, we have to return as soon as possible. The captains also drove the battleships and flew towards those star fields, preparing to travel through those galaxies and return to their own star fields. After flying for a certain distance, those battleships also began to slow down and began to slowly lower their altitude. However, these battleships have no way to lower the height too much. After all, the speed of these battleships is too slow, and there is no way to lower the height too much. They can only barely maintain a stable posture and let the battleship fly. Boom! Suddenly, those battleships also made bursts of violent explosions, and firelights burst into the air, and then they all turned into fireworks that filled the sky. There seems to be something wrong with my flight system. How can this happen? How can this happen? The crew members also shouted, and they all knew that there must be something wrong with their flight system. Their flight system actually failed, and they couldn't control the flight. They could only barely maintain their balance in the air. But I can't lower the altitude of the flight again. At this moment, their faces also became very ugly. What should I do? If it is an ordinary battleship, they can also control this kind of thing. Their flight system is a flying saucer-level combat ship. That flying saucer-level battleship cannot be easily manipulated. They also have no way to master the control of the flight system, so there is no way to reduce the flight altitude. Their flight systems are now rapidly reducing their energy. They are also constantly being consumed. If the flight system is not repaired in time, even if they can return to their own star field, they will be dragged down by their own flight system. They can no longer continue to fly, and may even malfunction during the flight. No, we must quickly repair the flight system. We can't continue to fly like this. If this continues, our flight system will be dragged down. The captains also said one after another. The captain took out a set of tools, ready to repair the flight system, hoping to repair the flight system. At this time, Su Yan was controlling the Hyperion battleship 2.6 and was flying towards that star. The battleship Hyperion is not very fast. After a few days, they finally flew to the star, and then the battleship Hyperion also landed next to the star. This is a huge planet, and this planet is bigger than those stars. On this planet, there is a planetary fortress. That planetary fortress was also shrouded in a light blue shield, making it extremely mysterious. In the starry sky outside the star fortress, there are many battleships suspended in the void. The main guns of these battleships are also aimed at that planetary fortress, ready to attack that planetary fortress. Boom boom boom. These energy shells also bombarded the shield of the planetary fortress. Those energy cannonballs did not pose any threat to that planetary fortress, and those energy cannonballs also dissipated. At this time, those flying soldiers also drove the battleship to fly towards the planetary fortress. They are going to destroy the shield of the planetary fortress and prevent those combat soldiers from flying into the interior of the planetary fortress. The flying soldiers flew in and immediately launched energy shells, trying to destroy the shields of those planetary fortresses. The defensive shields of the planetary fortress are also very strong, although the attack power of those flying soldiers is very fierce. Their attacks also blocked those energy shells. It can only block those energy shells for a moment. Once the number of energy cannonballs exceeds 500, such an energy cannonball is enough to blow up that planetary fortress. 31. In that case, those flying soldiers will also be injured. The flying soldiers also attacked the planetary fortress one after another, trying to destroy the shield of that planetary fortress. However, the shield of the planetary fortress is very strong, even if it is attacked by so many energy shells. The shield of the planetary fortress was not damaged in any way, but the attack of the energy cannonball was weakened a lot. Those flying soldiers also used their martial skills one after another, and the energy balls flew towards the planetary fortress, trying to destroy the planetary fortress. The attacks of those flying soldiers were also resisted one after another. Their attacks were simply unable to break through the defensive shield of the planetary fortress. Instead, they were energy cannonballs, which were constantly weakened. No, in this case, the energy of our energy shells will also be exhausted, so let's retreat first. Some flying soldiers also shouted one after another, wanting to leave the planetary fortress, and they did not dare to stay here. Because that planetary fortress is really too terrifying, staying in such a situation will only add trouble to oneself. They know very well how powerful this planetary fortress is, and it is also the remains of an interstellar beast. There are many powerful creatures in that planetary fortress. Their attacks, in front of those creatures, did not play a big role at all, and those creatures could tear them apart with a wave of their claws. The flying soldiers did not dare to stay here, and they all wanted to return. This planetary fortress is not so easily destroyed, and its shield energy is endless, and their attacks cannot destroy this shield at all. In this case, those flying soldiers also want to leave this planetary fortress one after another. The flying soldiers also urged the main guns of the flying ships one after another. Constantly bombarded the shield of the planetary fortress, trying to penetrate the shield of the planetary fortress. They couldn't do this at all, and even the main gun couldn't destroy the shield of the planetary fortress. Their main guns can only be used to blast the shield. The defenses of that planetary fortress cannot be destroyed. Damn, this planetary fortress is really too powerful in defense. We simply cannot destroy the shield of this planetary fortress, and our attacks have no effect on it. It seems that we can only retreat. Such a planetary fortress cannot be dealt with at all. Some flying soldiers also sighed one after another, and all gave up their shields to attack the planetary fortress, and they all drove their battleships toward the depths of the nebula to escape. Such a situation is also extremely dangerous for those flying soldiers. Their flying ships will also suffer some damage, and may even crash due to such reasons. These flying soldiers also drove the battleship away one after another. They did not dare to stay here, because the defensive ability of this planetary fortress made them feel very terrifying. We can't just leave this planetary fortress, we must destroy it. We must not let this planetary fortress continue to survive, otherwise, we will all fall into a dangerous situation. We must destroy this planetary fortress. On a flying combat ship, the flying non-commissioned officer couldn't help shouting angrily. In his opinion, such planetary fortresses are too dangerous. If they continue to stay here, it is very likely that they will die here. Yes, this planetary fortress must be destroyed. We are going to destroy it. Under the leadership of the flying non-commissioned officer, many flying combat ships behind him also adjusted their directions and attacked this planetary fortress. That flying combat ship is also a model state of an aircraft. The outer shell of this aircraft is made of silver-white metal material, which is the metal armor used by those flying soldiers. Su Yan stood on top of a flying battleship, and his eyes looked at this planetary fortress. On this planetary fortress, there are still dark energies remaining. In that dark energy, there are also many strange air currents. These dark energy should be the dark energy of the 170 black hole, and they should be the dark energy carried by a certain organism. These dark energy are a very terrifying energy that can devour all life. In this dark space, there is a very powerful creature. Then we will first destroy the shield on this planetary fortress, destroy it completely, and then enter here from the passage of the star space, find the core of this planetary fortress, and then destroy it. There was also a sound of orders from the flying combat ship. They want to destroy this planetary fortress, and they all know that this planetary fortress is a tough one. It takes a lot of effort for them to destroy the planetary fortress. They are also ready to destroy this planetary fortress in the shortest possible time. After their orders were issued, they all started to attack the planetary fortress. At this time, the flying soldiers also started to attack. They also all used their own energy to bombard the shield of this planetary fortress, hoping to defeat the shield of this planetary fortress. Their attacks were simply unable to break the shield of this planetary fortress. Those dark energies are also constantly eroding their flying combat ships. Their flying combat ships have also begun to become more and more bleak, and they may fall at any time. Seeing such a scene, the flight officer's expression changed slightly. "We must retreat immediately," the flight sergeant shouted in a deep voice. In their opinion, such an attack has no effect at all, and they simply have no way to take such a planetary fortress. The shield of this planetary fortress is too hard. If they want to destroy such a planetary fortress, they must destroy its shield. It is very difficult to destroy such a shield. Their attacks are mighty though. But none of their attacks could shake the shield of this planetary fortress. Well, then retreat now. Hearing the order of the flying non-commissioned officer, the others also began to control their flying combat ships and quickly retreated. They are not fools, they are not willing to stay here, and they all want to leave this area quickly. This place is just a planet, and there is nothing worthy of their adventure. Call out. Su Yan stood on the deck of this flying battleship, his eyes fixed on this planetary fortress. Looking at the shell of this planetary fortress, he couldn't help shaking his head. He also did not expect that this planetary fortress would be so strong. This planetary fortress has such strength. This planetary fortress is also surrounded by dark energy, and it is still pouring into the planetary fortress. He also doesn't know if there are dark creatures in the interior of this planetary fortress. What kind of creature is hidden in this planetary fortress? How did this creature appear in this cosmic space? This place is really weird. Su Yan frowned slightly. He also has an intuition. The creature he encountered this time is really no trivial matter, and this creature may be a super huge trouble. Su Yan looked at the shell of this planetary fortress, and suddenly, an idea flashed in his mind. This planetary fortress, maybe you can use it. Su Yan suddenly thought of the existence of the black hole in this planetary fortress. If the core of this planetary fortress is shrouded in black holes, The energy of this planetary fortress will definitely be absorbed by the black hole, so that the black hole in this planetary fortress will become larger and larger. The dark energy of black holes seems to be extremely corrosive to these spaceships. The dark energy in this planetary fortress can corrode the energy shield of the spacecraft. The black hole shield on the spacecraft can also resist these corrosive energies. The impact of dark energy on the spaceship is also very large. Once the dark energy invades the spaceship, it will cause the energy shield on the spaceship to have a violent fluctuation. The ship's defense system suffered serious damage. If this dark energy penetrates into the spaceship, the pilots in the spaceship will also die, and after the death of the pilot, the spaceship will collapse instantly. This is like the bridge in the movie. The spaceship is invaded by dark energy, and it will collapse directly, turn into nothingness, and disappear. The dark energy of the black hole will always corrode the energy shield of the spacecraft, making the energy shield of the spacecraft always in a state of wear and tear. When the spaceship's energy shield is exhausted, that spaceship will be completely broken. Su Yan wanted to obtain the core of this planetary fortress, and naturally, he also wanted to use the shield of this planetary fortress to deal with dark energy. Only in this way can the dark energy be expelled from the interior of this planetary fortress. However, before that, he still needs to solve the immediate trouble. Boom! When Su Yan controlled the flying battleship and started to attack the planetary fortress, the dark energy in this planetary fortress suddenly burst out with a terrifying force. This force is very powerful, and after the outbreak of this force, the energy shield of this flying battleship has also been shaken away a lot. Su Yan steered the flying combat ship and quickly retreated. However, the dark energy is also rapidly swallowing the protective system on this spaceship. Bang bang bang. Ah! With the invasion of this dark energy, this spaceship also suffered serious damage. This spaceship also made a scream, and the flying battleship was quickly damaged under the invasion of this dark energy. However, with the help of Su Yan, the energy shields of the spaceship also recovered quickly. Boom! Once again, the energy shield of this flying battleship was once again attacked by dark energy. Under the attack of this blow, the energy shield of this flying battleship also appeared cracked. Damn, no, stop the attack. If we continue to attack, our spaceship will be scrapped. A pilot of the flying regiment shouted loudly. Under such an attack, their flying battleship is almost unable to resist. The energy shields on the flying combat ships are also rapidly weakening. They also know that if they continue to attack like this, their flying combat ships will be completely scrapped. Su Yan never thought that the dark energy in this planetary fortress would be so tyrannical. He also did not expect that the energy of dark energy would be so powerful. However, he did not stop. Under his control, he controls this flying battleship, constantly attacking this planetary fortress. The energy shield on this flying battleship is almost unable to withstand it. Their attacks were ineffective. The dark energy in this planetary fortress allowed. It doesn't have any effect at all, and it can't destroy the energy shield on this planetary fortress. None of their flying combat ships could get close to this planetary fortress. Damn, what's going on? Why is this planetary fortress protected by dark energy? We can't break through the dark energy on this planetary fortress. This planetary fortress is too evil. Inside this flying combat ship, a famous pilot's face also looked a little pale. Although these pilots are flying on some ordinary battleships, they also have their own energy shields, and they can easily block the invasion of dark energy. Their defensive capabilities are also quite good. Therefore, their energy shields are also very powerful. Now they have no way to break through the dark energy on this planetary fortress. What is dark energy? That is the combination of dark energy and dark life can devour dark energy. This dark energy can erode their spaceship, and even devour all the energy shields in the spaceship. At this moment, the energy shields in this flying combat ship are also rapidly being consumed. A dignified look appeared on Su Yan's face. He knew that if he continued to attack like this, all the energy shields of his Hyperion would be destroyed. his Hyperion will also become very vulnerable, and I am afraid that he will not be able to withstand such an attack. No, the dark energy on the Hyperion must be resolved first. Su Yan's eyes narrowed, and immediately, he controlled the Hyperion and rammed towards the 170-star fortress. The Hyperion was also very fast, and quickly rushed to the front of this planetary fortress. Immediately, the Hyperion began a violent impact, constantly hitting the energy shield on that planetary fortress. Bang! Another huge roar came. Su Yan controlled the Hyperion and kept hitting the energy shield of that planetary fortress. The flying battleship made a piercing sound, as if it had been hit, as if it had been pierced. However, the Hyperion still did not stop attacking. Bang 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 tilde operator. The sound of explosions continued to sound, and the Hyperion kept attacking the energy shield of this planetary fortress. The flight soldiers also showed worried expressions on their faces. They also did not expect that the flying combat ship would encounter such a great danger. However, they are a flying combat ship, although they are attacking this planetary fortress. But they have nothing to lose. The defensive energy of the Hyperion is very powerful, and it has been specially modified. When it is attacked, the rebound force is not too strong. However, what made these flying soldiers feel strange was that they found that the energy shield of this flying combat ship was also becoming weaker and weaker. Is it about to collapse? The flying soldiers also talked about it one after another, but none of them thought of it. The energy shield on the flying combat ship could not last for a long time, and it would collapse at any time. If this is the case, then their loss is too great. They all know the value of this flying combat ship. If the flying combat ships are destroyed, their losses must be very large. At this moment, they also saw Su Yan's control of the Hyperion rapidly impacting the energy shield on that planetary fortress. No, stop him now. After seeing this scene, his heart couldn't help exclaiming. They also know that if it is really destroyed, then their losses will definitely be quite serious. If they are destroyed, then they will not be able to leave this ruined world. No, he cannot be allowed to destroy the energy shield on this planetary fortress. They also hurriedly controlled the flying combat ship and rammed towards Su Yan. Bang 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 tilde operator. Another series of explosions sounded. The flying combat ships are also continuing to hit the energy shield on this planetary fortress, trying to smash the energy shield on this planetary fortress. DBCG, however, it is just that they are doing nothing. They are all just in vain, and they can't do any damage to the energy shield of this planetary fortress. On the contrary, their own energy shields are constantly being shattered. Su Yan controls the Hyperion, constantly hitting the energy shield on this planetary fortress. The energy shield above the planetary fortress also began to gradually weaken. Although the energy shields on the planetary fortresses also have extremely high defense capabilities, it does not mean that the planetary fortresses can withstand the madness. However, although the energy shield on this planetary fortress has begun to weaken, this does not mean that the energy shield on this planetary fortress will really break, and Su Yan, also the energy shield on this planetary fortress is not so easily broken. It will take longer to break through the energy shield on this planetary fortress. On the other side, the flying soldiers on the star battleship also began to frantically bombard this flying combat ship, wanting to completely destroy this flying combat ship. At this time, they did not expect that they and others would encounter such a situation at this time. At this time, they were also a little anxious. These flying soldiers are also very clear that none of their star warships can always be on this planetary fortress. If those alien races in this planetary fortress discover their group of flying soldiers, I am afraid that their flying combat ship will also be destroyed. At that time, the losses of these flying soldiers are also very large. They are also very anxious, and they are desperately bombarding the energy shield on this flying combat ship. They also hoped that their artillery fire could cause enough damage to this flying combat ship. Let this flying combat ship be completely destroyed, and then their flying combat ships, they will all escape. It is a pity that they have no way to break the energy shield of this flying battleship. Under their attack, there were also some dense cracks on the flying combat ship, and it seemed that it was about to be unable to hold on. No, it's not a solution to continue to consume like this, the defense is too strong, they can't do any damage to them at all. A young flying soldier said anxiously. The rest of the flying soldiers also agreed. At this time, Su Yan had already seen clearly the state of the flying battleship, and his eyes could not help but narrowed slightly. Thank you for watching Mystic Realms Recap. Please like, share and subscribe. Have a great day.